Hello everyone. In the last lecture, we were discussing about the Michelson-Morley experiment. As you know, the purpose of Michelson-Morley experiment to prove the concept of hypothetical concept of existence of hypothetical ether medium. And second was to to calculate the So the purpose of Michelson-Morley experiment was to prove the concept of existence of hypothetical ether medium and also to calculate the relative velocity between Earth and ether. So as you recall, the expression for fringe shift was calculated as 2L V square by C square divided by lambda. This was the expression of fringe shift when we consider the relative motion between Earth and ether. But experimentally, this was a theoretical calculation when we incorporated the relative motion between Earth and ether. So this much was the fringe shift expected from the experiment. But experimentally, Michelson and Morley did not observe any fringe shift any time. So the fringe shift was 0. So this 0 fringe shift implies that either the ether medium does not exist or the relative velocity between Earth and ether is 0. So the purpose was Michelson-Morley experiment was not fulfilled, hence these results were termed as negative results. Actually, the purpose of the Michelson-Morley experiment was to prove the existence of ether medium and to calculate the relative velocity between Earth and ether. So, in order to explain this negative result, uh, different group of scientists give their own explanation to explain this negative result. The first explanation was ether drag hypothesis. Ether drag hypothesis. According to this explanation, it was considered that when Earth moves across the ether, it drags the ether along with its motion. Therefore, there is no there is no concept of relative motion between Earth and ether. Hence, the velocity of light as observed by the observer at ground will be same as the velocity of light as observed by the observer of ether medium. Second hypothesis, second explanation was given by Lawrence Fitzgerald and it is called Lorentz-Fitzgerald contraction hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, if there are two frames of reference S and S dash and one body is moving along if moving with some velocity v, then according to the observer and its length is L, then according to this observer its length will appear as uh, L dash is equal to L 1 minus V square by C square. It means for the observer which is at rest, he will observe some contracted length of a body which is moving relative to this observer. If you look back to the experimental setup, you will see here S is the source, this P is the beam splitter, and this is the path of ray 2, and the distance between point P to M2 was considered as L, and it was considered at that time as constant. If we consider the um, Lorentz length contraction hypothesis, then in this case the length for the observer at S frame of reference will appear as it will length will be appear as L1 minus V square by C square. So if you consider the length contraction hypothesis, then the length which we have initially considered for the calculation of transit time for ray 2 will be changed. For example, the length which was initially PM2 was considered as L. Since the whole frame of reference, this setup is moving with velocity v with respect to the observer of ether frame of reference, then this length will appear as L1 minus v square by c square. So this is the length. This when the ray going for the ray horizontal direction, in the horizontal direction the length will appear for the light which is giving in this direction, and when the light reflected back in this direction will also see the same length while before reaching to the point P. So the total length traversed by the light will be 2L1 minus V square by C square, and if you want to calculate time for ray 2 is it will be given by this length divided by the velocity of light c. Here I am writing c as we are calculating with respect to ether medium. So if you further simplify it, 2l by c 1 minus v square by c square minus 1. Okay, then again we'll take the binomial expansion and neglect the higher order terms because v is very small compared to c. Therefore we can write here 1 plus v square by c square. So this is the time taken by the ray 1, sorry, time taken by the so time taken by the ray 2 when we have incorporated the length contraction hypothesis becomes T ray 1 is equal to 2LC 1 plus V square by C square. If you look back to your calculation, time taken by ray 1 was 2L by C 1 plus V square by 2C square. So the time taken by ray 1 ray 2 is, sorry, this is for ray 2 and this is for ray 1 is equal to 2L by C 1 plus V square by C square. You see that both the time is same, so therefore the time difference between these two rays is equal to 0. Hence fringe shift will be given by delta x is equal to c into del t. Hence in this case since the part time difference between these two rays is 0, therefore the expected fringe shift is 0. So length contraction explains this result, but this theory was not considered to be correct as there was no experimental logic behind this hypothesis. The third explanation was made by the Einstein, and it was constancy of speed of light. So Einstein suggested a true and simple explanation for the negative result of Michelson-Morley experiment. According to him, the speed of light c is constant. The speed of light c is constant and it is independent of the position of source and observers. So c is constant and independent. It means that the velocity of light c is same in all the frame of reference. So if you look back to your calculation, you will find that we have calculated the time for ray 2 as L by C minus B, L by C plus B. So if you consider this C minus B, since the according to constants, according to the hypothesis of Einstein, that the speed of light is constant and independent of motion, you can write here L C minus B plus C minus B will be same. C minus B will be equal to C plus V, because it does not depend on the relative motion of observers. So in this case, if you will add the corrections by Einstein, then you will calculate the time t1 equal to 2L by C. Similarly for ray 1, this length is perpendicular to the motion of experimental setup. So we can again calculate the time if we consider the velocity of light is c is constant in all the frame of reference. So in this case, the time t2 will be 2L by c, hence delta t will be again 0. So there is no question of fringe shift here. Therefore you see that different explanations of the there are different explanations for to explain the experimental findings of Einstein's experimental findings of Michelson-Morley experiment. Out of them, the most accurate seems the third one, that was the given by Einstein. According to Einstein, again I want to repeat, the speed of light is constant and it is independent in the position of the source and the observers. Using this explanation for the Michelson-Morley experiment, we see that time taken by the light to travel the two parts in the experiment will be same, and hence there is no phase shift. As we have seen that the Newtonian relativity was not sufficient to explain the experimental findings of Michelson-Morley experiment and other experimental facts. Therefore, the Einstein in 1905 proposed the special theory of relativity, which is based on the two fundamental postulates that is given below. So the first postulate was all the laws of physics have the same form in all inertial frame of references, and the second postulate was the speed of light is constant in all the frame of reference and it is equal to the speed of light in vacuum, that is c is equal to 3 into 10 to power 8 meter per second everywhere, and it is independent of the motion of the bodies. So you see that the first postulate is the extension of Galilean hypothesis of invariance or the Newtonian principle of relativity, while the second postulate is based on the experimental fact of Michelson-Morley experiment.